oaks. This little-known group of shrub-like trees is a pivotal part of many ecosystems of the southeastern United States. Our team, assisted by Arboretum specialist Patrick Thompson, has studied these intriguing plants over a period of 3 months. Dwarf oaks are grouped together based on reaching reproductive maturity at a small size. Dwarf oaks can be evergreen or deciduous, and they can be dwarfed by genetics or by environmental factors. One example of an environmental dwarfling is the Turkey live oak. It grows on poor, dry, sandy, rocky soil where normal oaks can't survive.
It's sad, but it's the happiest we've ever had it here at the Arboretum. And so we had to build a display just so we could host this species. And it's a turkey oak, and they grow in sand hills with longleaf pines. And we've tried to grow them here, but our soil is too rich. And so where we saw that Georgia oak was capable of going into a richer soil and becoming a healthier plant, this one, when you put it in that soil, it's too rich for it and it just dies after a year or two. And so we've killed quite a few here before we brought in multiple dump truck loads of sand and churned up the soil and built these hills to get it up above grade so it'd have the drainage that it needs to survive.
Dwarf oak species are often hard to identify, but can be recognized by the shape of their leaves and diameter of their stems.
On the shrubby live oak. So, is it a shrubby live oak?
Is it a sand live oak?
Nope. Its trunk is definitely more than 1/4 of an inch. So, that just shows how they refuse to play any type of taxonomic game with you. They'll cheat every time.
Interbreeding makes it increasingly difficult to identify specific species of dwarf oaks.
All it takes for that to happen is for the male catkin that releases the pollen to be active on this tree while the female flower is receptive on this tree, and that wind just carries the pollen from dad to mom. Mom makes an acorn, and there it is.
In the Arboretum, the dwarf live oak, Quercus minima, can be found intertwined with the sand live oak, Quercus geminata. The dwarf live oak is an evergreen shrub that can grow up to 6 feet tall with alternate spine-tipped leaves. The sand live oak is also evergreen, but with thick, leathery leaves and dark, rigid bark. Both are native to the coastal regions of the southeastern United States, and both form shrubby, thicket-like colonies. The dwarf live oak, shown alone here, lives best in moist, well-drained, sandy soil. It has the potential to grow, but does so very slowly due to low nutrition from the sandy soil.
We get these specimens out, and they're 14 years old now. And one of the characteristics of the species is that the stem diameter doesn't exceed about 1/4 of an inch. And so in our original collection, we thought we had collected 10 plants, and like 9 out of 10 of them turned out to be the sand live oaks. And we realized that once they got up and their stems exceeded that 1/4 inch diameter. So.
The myrtle oak is found in southern Florida, and as such is subject to salt winds from the coast, which may burn the leaves and which contribute to its small growth potential.
Well, it does stress them, and having it constantly blowing across them actually will kill those tips when they get salt buildup. But the water going towards the ocean is usually fresh. The water coming down on them is usually fresh. And so in areas where you actually get saltwater intrusion back around bays and stuff, you don't usually find them. They're going to be up on these ridges where they're living off rainwater.
The Georgia oak, Quercus georgiana, is a rare deciduous oak.
And another interesting one is the Georgia oak. And so where I've seen it in the wild, it's a really gnarled, struggling, often a sad-looking little tree. I mean, it's on hot granite rock outcrops here in East Alabama. These, again, were collected on sandstone rock outcrops, but just in the counties right here around Auburn, you can find this growing, and the largest populations of it are in Pine Mountain, Georgia, just across the border. But if you take one of these and plant it in some deep, happy, healthy soil and remove the competition, then they can grow into a pretty nice, big, healthy tree.
Okay.
And so where on these super shallow soils you get a natural bonsaiing effect where they grow very slow because of their reduced root area, which is what's happening in a bonsai pot, where a bonsai artist might be trimming roots, these guys are getting their roots trimmed by those summer droughts and hot conditions and heat that's actually sucked into the stone and then, refuses so those roots ever really develop. But take that, plant it over here, and the tree next to the longleaf pines over there that's about 35 feet tall is actually the state champion Georgia oak for the state of Alabama.
The chinkapin oak, Quercus prinioides, is found in dry, often acidic soil. However, the quality of the soil isn't what limits their size. Chinkapin oaks are genetic dwarfs. These oaks typically develop into shrubs or small trees. Another identifying characteristic of dwarf oaks is reproductive maturity at a small size.
So, just a small oak, like a small white oak or a small red oak, wouldn't be making acorns until it reached an adult size. But for these guys, you can tell by the cupules still hanging on the bush that for them this is an adult reproductive size. So, that's one indication of a true dwarf oak, I guess. Hard to find too many factors I can absolutely say makes them a dwarf oak, but reproductive maturity at a small size, I'd say that's solid.
Shown here are young cupules on a sand live oak. These cupules produce acorns, which make dwarf oaks an integral part of many southeastern ecosystems. A major role of the dwarf oak is becoming a feeding ground for insects.
99% of birds in the east raise their young on insects. They're not going to take an acorn and feed it to a baby bird the way an adult turkey or a blue jay would be eating acorns. But it's the insects supported by the plants that then, fill all those little niches. So it's a complex web that they weave.
One of the many species that are dependent on these shrubby trees are the tiny but mighty ants. The Boynton oak, Quercus boyntonii, is rare. Its conservation status is listed as endangered.
Oaks occur only in Alabama and just in a stretch of a few counties, pretty much from Gadsden to Birmingham, on the tops of these sandstone ridges. And in the woods around them, you can find other species of oaks like white oaks and sandpost oaks that require deeper soils. And on the actual outcrops in this really shallow, harsh soil, the boyntonii grows pretty well. And then in the areas in between, you get hybrids between the two of them. And so it's hard to say how long the speciation has been going on, but there's still gene flow in between those species, even though you can clearly differentiate a complete white oak in those deep soils from a Boynton's oak in the shallow soils.
In 1997, the Boynton oak was marked as extinct/endangered. Today, it's only found in Alabama. The National Nature Reserve Conservation Status says that it is critically imperiled. Most of its habitat has been altered, forested lands have become pine plantations, and grasslands have become pastures. In summary, dwarf oaks are grouped together based on their reproductive maturity at a small size. They are dwarfed by both nature and nurture, genetic and environmental factors, and are a cornerstone of many southeastern ecosystems. So next time you see a small tree, give it a small hug. It might just be a friendly neighborhood dwarf oak. Special thanks to Patrick Thompson for being super awesome and always responding to my millions of emails.